welcome to the news recap here on News Ghana Clock. We are coming to you from our studios here in Osu. My name is Hegel Fusonau. Coming up in this bulletin, President Akufo-Addo urges Muslim communities in Ghana to take the education of females seriously. Also, we take you to Parliament, where the minority say they will continue to boycott registration of the national identification cards. And also in business, Bank of Ghana discloses plans to boost the number of financial technology firms operating in Ghana. Well, we have details of these, including sports, entertainment, and international news, all coming up in this bulletin. Do stay. And now to the news in detail. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has urged the Muslim communities in Ghana to help in the fight against early child marriage. Assuring the Muslim community of his government's commitment to their welfare, he urged them to take advantage of the free SHS policy and pay as much attention to the education of females as they do to their male children.
My government is committed to making education accessible to all, so that we're not just educated for life, but Muslims also fulfill their religious duty. I urge you to take advantage of the free senior high school program to ensure the education of your children, especially the Muslim girl. Government has also engaged some 3,000 Arabic instructors to teach Arabic studies in schools. I am very passionate about the development of women. In Islam, it is believed that, quote, paradise lies under the feet of our mothers, unquote. Our mothers and potential mothers cannot hope to guarantee us paradise if they are allowed to remain ignorant.
Now let's go to the Parliament House now, where the minority say they will continue to boycott the registration for the national identification cards. According to the minority leader Haruna Idrisu, the national ID registration was a laudable initiative, but the minority MPs don't agree with the rejection of the voter IDs as a reference document to allow for registration.
It is our strong view that the voter ID card, which produced a government, at least it produced a government of President Kufuor, President Rawlings, Nana Addo Dankwa, is a legitimate reference document, even referencing Supreme Court rulings on that matter. But that has been excluded in the law, but part of the legislative instrument which drive its strength from the Parent Act. We are of the strong belief that this exercise must be all-inclusive. Therefore, our boycott is to ensure that there is no denial, I repeat, there is no denial of legitimate Ghanaian citizens having their due to be part of a national identification system. We find the reference document of only the passport and the birth certificate inadequate and insufficient. And that is basis that many more Ghanaians will not be part of this exercise. That will bring to question the utility of the exercise being undertaken.
Now, the Ghana Health Service has directed all government-accredited health centers to desist from turning patients away on the excuse of no beds. In a statement released and signed by the Director of Health at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Anthony Isiasari, he noted the health centers should rather stabilize patients before referring them to the next level facilities. This directive comes on the back of the demise of 70-year-old Prince Anthony Opoku Echampong, who reportedly died in his car at the Lekma Hospital in Teshi in Accra after he had been turned away by 7 hospitals under the claim that they had no beds to admit him.
All the health facilities are supposed to stabilize and arrange for proper transfer. And I repeat, they are supposed to stabilize and arrange for proper transfer of such a patient if needed. And that will be the responsibility of the hospital. Beds are to be managed efficiently and holistically and must be available at all times for all emergencies. Actually, emergencies can be treated anywhere in the hospital, in a couch, on a table, in a wheelchair, and on a bed. There should be no reason at any time that we say there is no bed for an emergency. All the hospitals in this country are acute hospitals. I don't know any conventional hospital in this country. And we are there because of the patients. We are there because of acute cases. So I'm charging all managers of hospitals, and especially chief nursing officers and nursing managers. You are the managers of beds in hospitals. And every morning, you should make sure that you have enough beds to cater for our emergencies.
Now, still on health. The father of a twin said to have died at a Ridge hospital in Accra has said that he never saw the corpse of his supposedly dead baby, as explained by hospital authorities. John Gabuja has also refuted the hospital lost contact with him for over a month after the death of his baby, for which reason they disposed of the baby. However, according to a medical director of the hospital, Emmanuel Sorofonyo, the baby died on May 14, 2018, and the father, Mr. Gabuja, was made to see the baby and given the chance to take the corpse home for burial. But the father said he would get back to the hospital authorities. He added that after a month of not hearing from Gabuja, they took the baby to the morgue as required by the hospital's policy. Now let's do other stories where after days of talks and controversies on the Kelny GVG deal, all mobile network operators have now compiled with a directive by the Ministry of Communications to have their various data centers monitored. The compliance will now allow the Communications Authority and the Ghana Revenue Authority and their contractors to begin the implementation of the process to ensure the country gets the right revenue from players in the industry. In a statement signed by the Minister of Communications, Mrs. Lawusu Ekufu, she noted all servers had been installed and were being tested at various data centers of all mobile network operators. Up next is business.
Thanks for joining me, and it's now time for us to do some stories in the world of business. My name is Kweku Ediama Ansa. Let's start off with our first story, where the Public Relations Officer for Lankwantana Municipal Assembly, Isaac Odum, has entreated all street traders at Medina to be patient with the work of the Lankwantana Municipal Assembly. Now, this comes on the back of the recent relocation of traders from the street of Medina to a designated point. Now, the new site for trading is located right behind the Ken City building at the Medina Zongo Junction here in Accra. Now, the allocation of shops for traders after their movement have seen several eyebrows being raised. Away from that, let's do some other stories where the Bank of Ghana has disclosed of plans to cap the number of financial technology firms operating in the country. Now, the central bank has bemoaned what it says to be the proliferation of fintechs in Ghana's financial system. Now, currently, there are 71 fintechs providing solutions to businesses and individuals in the country. Following the impact of cyber fraud with the rise in the use of digital platforms, a new payment systems law is expected to be passed by Parliament to sanitize the space soon. Now, according to the central bank, a fintech may be deemed qualified to sustain its operation if it complies with three broad directives, including technology, security and controls, governance arrangements, as well as the principles of consumer protection. Let's do some other stories where the ECOWAS Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency, which is otherwise known as ECRI, is to hold series of regional meetings in Accra from the June 20th to June 27th this year, which is aimed at paving the way for the provision of sustainable electricity services in West Africa and the Sahel. Now, these will follow through with activities embarked upon by the ECRI under its regional off-grid electrification project, which is also known as ROGEP, that seeks to provide reliable electricity services through the standalone solar systems for 19 countries in ECOWAS and the Sahel regions. Now, the Accra meetings will begin on the 20th of June 2018 with a four-day training workshop that would bring together entrepreneurs from all walks of life. Business right here. Hagar continues with the main bulletin.
And away from business, let's do some international news. Zimbabwe has formally opened nominations to presidential hopefuls ahead of elections on July 30, 2018. Candidates seeking to run the next month's presidential, parliamentary, and local polls are expected to submit their candidacy to one of several convened electoral courts across the country. The poll will be the first time the country holds an election without former leader Robert Mugabe running the country's top seat. Mugabe, who came into power in 1960 after the country won independence from Britain, was pushed out of office by the army in November last year. Now, U.S. President Donald Trump has described his talks with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un as honest, direct, and productive. Mr. Trump said he would halt war games, while Mr. Kim had promised to destroy the missile testing site. Their argument also included a commitment from Mr. Kim to rid Korean Peninsula of nuclear weapons. It is the first time a U.S. president and a North Korean leader have met. Now, Kweku and Saidiama is standing by with some sports updates. Hello, Kweku.
Yeah, hey guys.
It looks as African teams are losing the game.
Yeah, hey guys. So unfortunate for the African sides, the likes of Egypt, also Morocco and Nigeria have all lost in their game. We are just looking forward to the matches for Senegal and also Tunisia. We'll pray and hope that they do well in their coming games. Now let's start off with our first story, where the 2018 FIFA World Cup has kick-started as host to Russia won their game against Saudi Arabia by 5-0 following an opening ceremony at Moscow Stadium. Now the football's showpiece event features 32 teams, including the title holders Germany, competing in 64 games over 32 days. Now, unfortunately for the African teams, Egypt, Morocco, and Nigeria have all lost their opening games to their opponents. Let's take a look at the highlights of this particular game.
Tournament. 4 games of the 21st FIFA World Cup kicks off the overture.
Pokazał się Gaziński.
Now let's move away and do some local story, where the government of Ghana has constituted a 5-member committee to oversee the running of football in the country. Now the interim management committee will be chaired by the chairman of the local organizing committee of the 2008 members, which includes Kujo Fianu, who will also serve as the secretary to the committee. Former footballers Abedi Pele and Reverend Osei Kofi, and lawyer and the former sports journalist Eva Ochre. Now, Peace FM's sports anchor Daniel Kwekuyeboa will also serve as a spokesperson for the committee. Now, in a release issued by the Minister for Information, Dr. Mustafa Hamid, reveals that the committee will lead government's negotiation with the Confederation of African Football, that is CAF, and the Federation of International Football Association, that is FIFA, on the way forward for Ghana football. Now let's do our last story here, where we'll do some English stories, where the champions Manchester City will travel to Arsenal on the weekend of the 11th and 12th August for their opening match of the 2018-2019 Premier League season. Now the fixture will be United Emirates' first competitive match as the Ghana's manager. Elsewhere on the opening weekend, Manchester United will also host Leicester City, as Liverpool will entertain West Ham United, and the championship winners Wolverhampton Wanderers will also welcome Everton in their clash. And so that is some excerpts of the matches that will be played in the English Premiership. That is the first match day for teams in the English Premiership. That's how we wrap up in the world of sports here. My name is Kweku Ediama Ansa. There's more news.
Let's do some entertainment stories now. Black Star striker Samuel has hinted on collaborating with a number of artists to solidify his stay in the music industry. The footballer, who is passionate about developing his music career, made this revelation after performing the tune Dirty Enemies for the first time with Stonebwoy, as Samuel has expressed his passion for music through several collaborations with Castro. According to him, music remains his passion, even though he is a professional footballer.
Castro again, oh, featuring Baby Jet, EPK, what do this BTO? Me thank you, I don't be do the end, dumpy, yeah. We are back on, no, that's we are back on, no.
Well, on this note, this is where we end this edition of News Recap. But before we go, a recap of the headlines. President Akufo-Addo has urged Muslim communities in Ghana to take the education of females seriously. Also, we take you to Parliament, where the minority say they will continue to boycott the registration for the National Identification Card. Also, in Business Bank of Ghana, discloses plans to boost the number of technology firms operating in Ghana. Well, thanks so much for spending your time with us on this edition of News Recap. The news was produced by Amulens Production. Remember to interact with us on Facebook, Instagram, and also on YouTube. My name is Hegel Fusua. Thank you.